Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're going to dig into the powerful and honestly surprisingly simple ideas from James Clear's huge bestseller, Atomic Habits. All right, so let's just jump right in with a question that I'm guessing feels a little too familiar for most of us. You set a big goal, right? You're going to get in shape, you're going to write that novel, finally learn a new language. You are so motivated, so excited. And then what happens? A few weeks later, you're pretty much right back where you started. So, what gives? Well, the very first big idea from the book is kind of counterintuitive. It's that we should actually forget about those massive, life-changing goals. Instead, the real secret is in focusing on something, well, way, way smaller. And if you want to see this in action, just look at the British cycling team. I mean, for 100 years, they were the definition of mediocre. They were so consistently meh that a top bike manufacturer literally refused to sell them gear. They were afraid it would hurt their own brand just to be associated with them. Ouch! But then, in 2003, this new performance director, Dave Brailsford, comes along and introduces this pretty radical new philosophy. He called it the aggregation of marginal gains. And the idea? It was simple, but wow, was it profound. He just wanted to find a tiny 1% improvement in absolutely everything they did. And when I say tiny, I mean these improvements were almost obsessively small. We are not talking about just, training harder. No. We're talking about testing different massage gels to see which one helped muscles recover faster, finding the perfect pillow for each individual rider's sleep. They even painted the inside of the team truck white so they could spot tiny specks of dust that might mess with the finely tuned bikes. They were looking for that 1% edge literally everywhere. So, what's the big takeaway here? The whole 1% rule is so powerful because it gets you to stop obsessing over goals and start building better systems instead. Yeah, think about it like this. A goal is where you want to end up, right? Like winning the Tour de France. But a system, that's the whole process that gets you there. It's that daily practice of getting 1% better. See, if you only focus on the goal, sure, you might win once, but you'll probably slide right back. But if you focus on improving the system, you just keep winning over and over again. And here's where it gets really deep. A truly great system, it does more than just change what you do. It starts to change who you are, or at least who you believe you are. So instead of saying, I want to be a healthy person, the real goal is to get to a point where you believe, I am a healthy person. Every little habit becomes like a lote you cast for the kind of person you want to become. Okay, so right about now, you're probably thinking, this all sounds fantastic, but come on, building all these systems, that's got to take some superhuman willpower, right? Well, what's fascinating is that the book argues that this whole idea of self-control as some heroic power, it's pretty much a myth. And to really get why, we need to look at this incredible study from the Vietnam War. And its number you see, 90%, it's the key to unlocking this whole idea. So during the war, a shocking number of U.S. soldiers, as many as 1 in 5, got addicted to heroin. But here's the crazy part. When researchers followed them back home, they found something that just blew their minds. 90% of them, that's 9 out of every 10 addicted soldiers, just quit, almost overnight. And this completely baffled the experts, because the usual relapse rate for heroin users coming out of rehab is the complete opposite. It's a staggering 90%. What this unbelievable result shows us is a super fundamental equation for human behavior, something first put forward by the psychologist Kurt Lewin. It's simple. Your behavior is a function of you, the person, and the environment you're in. See, those soldiers didn't suddenly grow some kind of heroic willpower. What happened was their environment completely changed. All the triggers that prompted the habit, the constant stress of war, the easy access, the people they were with, all of it just gone. And this pulls back the curtain on the big secret. So-called disciplined people aren't built differently than the rest of us. They're just way better at designing their lives to avoid temptation in the first place. Okay, so if our environment is really the invisible hand shaping our habits, then the obvious next question is, how do we become the architect? How do we design an environment that makes good habits actually stick? Well, the book lays out this really simple, practical toolkit, the 4 laws of behavior change. First, make it obvious. Like putting your running shoes right by the door. Second, make it attractive. You could try something called temptation bundling, where you link something you want to do with something you need to do, like you only get to listen to your favorite podcast while you're at the gym. Third, make it easy. Put the healthy food right at eye level in the fridge. Hide the junk food. And finally, number 4, make it satisfying. And this last one, this is the real secret sauce for making a habit last. And this really hits on the fundamental problem we're all up against, right? Our brains are basically hardwired for instant gratification. Think about it. The rewards for bad habits, like smoking a cigarette or eating a donut, they're immediate. The consequences? Those are way down the road. But for good habits, it's the complete opposite. The cost, the effort, is right now, and the reward is somewhere off in the future. So to hack this system, you've got to find a way to give yourself an immediate reward. And this story about a young stockbroker is just a brilliant example. His goal was to make 120 sales calls a day. Now, instead of just grinding it out, he did something genius. He made his progress visible and satisfying. That tiny, immediate win of moving one single paperclip from the full jar to the empty one, that gave his brain just enough of a little reward, a little dopamine hit, to keep him going and make the next call. So let's bring it all home. How do all these pieces, the 1% rule, focusing on systems instead of goals, designing your environment, how do they all fit together? Well, that leads us right to our final and probably most important point. At the end of the day, the really powerful idea at the heart of Atomic Habits is not about some massive, dramatic life overhaul. It's not about finding that one big break that's going to fix everything. It's about a much quieter, much more patient process. It's about realizing that these tiny, almost invisible changes, when you just keep doing them day after day, they compound. And over time, that's what leads to truly remarkable results. So instead of asking yourself, what huge, impressive goal can I crush this year? The book leaves us with a much smaller, but way more powerful question. And that question is for you. What is the one tiny, almost effortless thing you can do right now to get just 1% better?